What's going on, YouTube? Next Mike up back again. Today we're doing our season predictions. Who's going to win each division, who's going to be in the championship games, who's going to win the Super Bowl. Now this is very bold of us to do this because a lot of times people do this and it never turns out the way you want it to. But you know what? We're going to take our chances here. So let me know, who do you think is going to win the AFC East this year?
AFC East, in my opinion, is the Buffalo Bills at 11-5. I think New England's going to be good, but I think they're going to falter as the season continues. And I just have no faith in the Jets or the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't blame you on that one. Miami's definitely tanking again with Tua, hoping to get him a new star player. And the Jets are, that's the best weapons they've given Sam Darnold, apparently.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary. And the New England, they're a team that has a lot of people opted out due to COVID. And Cam Newton's going to have to do a lot to prove that team is still good enough to make the playoffs without a Tom Brady caliber quarterback in that system. But Buffalo is definitely a good choice. A team a lot of people are picking to go even far in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I'm going with New England at 10-6, winning the AFC East. I just think, Belichick's going to find a way to use Cam Newton properly. If Newton can stay healthy, that team is a scary team on paper and on the field. Buffalo's a good team, but sometimes Josh Allen, to me, just still isn't proven himself fully. I still feel like he's going to throw away too many games sometimes, and they're just not going to be able to score enough points. But I could be wrong. So now moving on to the AFC North. Who do you have winning the AFC
I took
North?
the Ravens, even though I went against them in our other pick. Man, again, to me, the Ravens are just one of those teams. They'll go, are we going to do the records too? So, the Ravens, to me, are one of those teams. They'll just win the division. They're just a better team overall than anybody else in the division.
Yeah, I could see that. Just more well-rounded.
Right.
And what record did you have them at?
10-6.
At 10-6, I mean, that could be a tight division. That could be a division where the Steelers are 9-7 and the Browns are 8-8 or 7-9,
right.
And then Cincinnati, who knows? We'll see what happens with Burrow his first year. And then me in the AFC North, I also have Baltimore at 11-5. I just think Baltimore is not going to win, obviously, 13 games like they did last year, which was a big surprise. I think Pittsburgh's going to be a lot better than they were last year with Big Ben if he could stay healthy. I think it'll be a tight race. Pittsburgh maybe even making the playoffs at 10-6, 9-7. So I think it's going to be a tough division. Ravens at 11-5.
Yeah, in the X division, I take Houston
and AFC South
to go 10-6, and the main reason I'm saying that is even though I watched them against Kansas City, no team can really compete with Kansas City at this point. I think Houston's just a good overall team. Everything is good on that team overall, and if they can actually run the ball, they'll be fun in that division at 10-6.
Yeah, I definitely believe that too. I think Houston's going to be a team that finishes right around 10-6. I have them around 9-7, but I'm actually going with Tennessee at 10-6. I think Tennessee's still got to find out what Ryan Tannehill can really do besides hand the ball off. But I think that Tennessee's got a great team all around. They just signed Jadeveon Clowney for crying out, laughing out loud. Clowney is just another element to that team. A great defense. They just got to be able to put points on the board. That's why I got them at 10-6. They got to figure out their identity.
Yeah. The next is I took
AFC West.
Surprise, I took the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, surprise, motherfucker! The king is back.
At 14-2. After what I saw Thursday night and after what I saw in the Super Bowl, to me, they're just the dominant team in the AFC. So, this is a no-brainer. Kansas City at 14-2, winning the division.
Yeah, I also agree. I have Kansas City at 12-4 because I think, towards the end of the season, they're going to separate themselves anyways from the rest of the teams in their division. So I could see them only winning 12, 11 games, and they'll probably be fine. Not saying that they're not going to have other good teams in the division. A lot of people have high hopes for Denver, but how much do you believe in Drew Lock already? Then you got the Chargers with Tyrod Taylor, so who knows about them? And then the Las Vegas Raiders. So I think that's definitely Kansas City's division to lose. I don't think there's any debate about that, especially the defending Super Bowl champs. Moving over to the NFC now, with the NFC East. Go ahead, tell me what you picked. Go ahead.
As a diehard Giant fan, this was the hardest thing I've ever done. I picked the Dallas Cowboys to win the division and be 11-5. You know what? I'm sick to my stomach right now.
I don't blame you for your pick at the Dallas Cowboys at 11-5. A lot of people have high hopes for the Cowboys. Obviously, Cowboy fans have the highest hopes of any fan base ever of all time, of course. But at 11-5, I could believe it. But
I think the whole thing with Dak Prescott and the whole thing with he had a lot of problems, and then I think even what Skip Bayless said, I think it's going to affect Prescott where he's going to play even better, and that's terrifying. If Dallas plays up to their potential, they'll be better even than 11-5. Even though I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
honestly, I'm just being honest.
And I'm another one also being a diehard Giants fan. I can't stand the Cowboys either, but I'm going to go a different direction here. Another filthy team, the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think the Eagles are just the best all-around team in the NFC East when you put them together. Obviously Carson Wentz has had a great season before. He's got to stay healthy. I think Philly's just the best all-around team. When you know, if they stay healthy, they can easily win this division. It's theirs to lose. But I also think that it's going to be a tight division this year.
It's a coin toss. Yeah.
I could see it going Eagles 10-6, Dallas 9-7, Giants 8-8. You know, I could see
That'd be nice.
It would be nice. I'm not saying
the Giants win 8 games.
Yeah, I'm not even trying to be a homer here. I can see the Giants going 7-9 or 8-8 or somewhere around that thing. I saw people predicting the Giants kind of because they said the NFC East is that tight. Besides, obviously Washington, who's just nowhere close. But that's just the way it looks like for us. Obviously, it sucks we have to pick a team that's not our own team in our division, but that's just the way it is. It's been like that for the past couple years. So
yeah, long time.
And now we move on to the NFC North.
Yep. I take the Minnesota Vikings with a 12-4 record. I just think they're just, again, it's a well-rounded team who's always in the playoffs and just has that ability. I think it's so funny because I think if Kirk Cousins wasn't their quarterback, I think they could actually go to the Super Bowl one day.
No, I believe that.
But
too.
I think with Cousins, they're an NFC, maybe, you know, one day maybe the NFC, you know, championship game. But I think they'll be 12-4, win that division.
Yeah, I can see that. Obviously, a lot of people said the Packers' year last year was kind of a fluke with the easy schedule, but they did make it to the championship game. And I think Minnesota is another one of those teams, as time goes on, their team keeps losing players. They lost a key defensive player this season in Everson Griffin. Even though they traded for Ngakoue from Jacksonville. I think, you know, Minnesota's got one of those really complete teams, but how many games can they really win with Kirk Cousins? That's always my biggest question.
As long as it's not the playoffs, they'll be fine.
What's that supposed to mean?
I'm going to go with Green Bay at 10-6. I think they're going to take a slight drop-off from last year, but still be able to claim the division. I think it could be a tight division. I could see, you know, a couple teams winning 7 games, 8 games. I could even see Detroit, if Matt Stafford stays healthy, winning like 7 or 8 games.
That's a stretch.
I think that you know, Matt Patricia's job's on the line, so
that's true.
He better win those games. But I'm going to go with Green Bay here, with Minnesota slightly behind them.
Okay.
And now we're moving to the NFC, what is it, South?
And again, I took the Tampa Bay Bucks at 12-4. I just think with the coach they have, with the team they have, it's just it's a hard pick, but it's one of those picks where I just got a feeling, again, Brady has something to show, even though I don't like Brady particularly that much. I think as a leader, they'll be a good team and they'll go 12-4. I think pretty easily.
I think the Buccaneers are right there with the Saints when it comes to skill level, talent, everything on that team. And obviously Breeze and Brady are as close to quarterbacks as they can get. So I'm going to go with the Saints at 13-3 with Tampa very close. I had Tampa at 11-5, but I just think New Orleans is going to be another one of those teams where New Orleans can go 13-3 for like 5 years in a row. Do I think they could win a Super Bowl? I don't know because of the way they've choked in the playoffs. But New Orleans 13-3 here, winning the division, and you know Tampa being the only other team that's really close. Carolina and Atlanta, just not feeling it.
Next pick for me, I took the San Francisco Niners to win the division at 11-5.
In the NFC West,
it's a tough division. It's in a way it's a coin toss, but I think the Niners, even 11-5 seems a stretch. I think they'll be better than that, but I'm going to go 11-5 because Seattle's so tough. I just think again they have so much to prove this year. You know, I think it's gonna be one of those things where they're gonna play their kind of ball, and again, their defense and offense both play well. So I give them 11-5, and that's my pick.
I'm gonna go with Seattle here at 12-4. I think Seattle just adding Jamal Adams is just insane. Obviously, if they could have kept Jadeveon Clowney, would have been a whole nother story. That team would have been even scarier.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's really never been hurt, so you don't really have to worry about his health that much, but you got to worry about the skill positions and the O-line. So if he can keep those guys on the field, Russell Wilson could have his best statistical season ever. And I think the Seahawks can be the most dominant team in the NFC. So I'm going to go with Seattle at 12-4.
Good pick.
And now we're going to go with the championship games, AFC, NFC. So who do you got in the AFC?
Oh, big stretch here. I took the Kansas City Chiefs 42, the Baltimore Ravens 35. I think it's going to be one of those games where it's going to go down the line of two gunslingers. I think Lamar Jackson just about there. And I could be wrong, but I think Mahomes has got another one of those kind of runs in him. So I go Kansas City 42-35 over the Ravens.
Yeah, definitely not a stretch, especially if you watch Thursday night game with their new first-round running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, that offense is just scary. In Baltimore, again, they're right there. Hopefully, we got to see what the Lamar drop-off is from his MVP season to the next season, if there is a drop-off. So, in the AFC for me, I'm going with Kansas City and New England. I think if Cam Newton can get in the playoffs, he can find a way to get this team to the AFC Championship game. That's just my opinion. I think even if they sneak in and they have to play every team has to play the wild card now except for the number 1 seed. So, I think Cam Newton could win 2 or 3 games in the playoffs. I think he's capable of doing it as long as he stays healthy. In the AFC, besides the Ravens, I could, it's just a tough field to where do you think, who do you believe in the most? Tennessee made it last year at 9-7 to the AFC Championship. So it could be another one of those teams. It's not always as easy to make the 2 top seeded teams to make the AFC Championship game. So that's why I went with New England. So now we move out to the NFC, and who'd you have in the NFC?
NFC, I got the San Francisco 49ers 35, the, hate to say it, Dallas Cowboys 16. I just think San Francisco, again, is going to go on that kind of run, and they're going to get there again. And I think Dallas is finally going to get to the NFC Championships and then make their fans cry, as they always do, and lose the big game.
Flashback to the 90s and 80s
35-16
with the Niners-Cowboys game. I could see it. I just, it just all depends on if the Cowboys can make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs.
It's a shame. It's funny. It shows you how good a lot of the top teams really are. I mean, it could really go anyway.
I think in the NFC, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think anyway.
Yeah, not in the AFC. I think Kansas City's pretty much the lock.
I think Kansas City and Baltimore can rule the AFC, but you got to worry about some of the other teams that are just as good. Now in the NFC for me, I'm going with Seattle and Tampa Bay. Yes, I know I had New Orleans winning the division over Tampa Bay, but I think if Tom Brady finds a way to get into the playoffs, he can win the wild card in the divisional round, and he can get his way into the championship game, especially with that offense, and if the defense starts playing well together, I can see Tampa Bay being a scary team. But I'm going to go with Seattle beating Tampa Bay 23-20.
Oof, brutal.
A tough, brutal game,
Yeah.
a great defensive game by both sides. Russell Wilson comes up late game drive, field goal. Seattle's in the Super Bowl.
Not a bad pick.
The Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
What is this?
I don't know. This whole
remember.
year, I don't even know what year we're in anymore.
It just feels like 2020 is in repeat again, so I don't know.
My prediction for the 2021 Super Bowl now would be the Kansas City Chiefs, what a shock, 48, and the San Francisco 49ers 10.
That would be insane.
I think it's just going to be one of those games where Kansas City's just going to outdo them, and their defense, Kansas City looked better. I just think it's Kansas City's. It's going to be the first team to repeat since the Patriots. I just think they're just that good on both sides of the ball.
I don't think that's a stretch at all either. I think Kansas City has the chance to be a dynasty, if anything.
Yeah.
With Mahomes that young, him locked up for 10-plus years now, all of his skill position players basically under contract for 4 or 5 years. And
that running back, my
that's
God.
what I'm saying. Like,
that kid is, wow.
That's what I mean. Like, the Chiefs are going to be one of those teams that you really wish you didn't have to see every year in the playoffs. So, you know what? I could definitely see the Chiefs repeating. For me, I'm going to go with Seattle and Kansas City in the Super Bowl, with Seattle winning 28-24. In a close game, I think Russell Wilson gets that second ring because it's now or never. Because if he doesn't get that second ring now, I don't know how they're going to be able to surround talent later in his career with him, with Jamal Adams. Are they even going to pay Jamal Adams, or is he just going to play for 2 years on the team? They're not running out of time. It's just how long can you keep surrounding a guy with talent?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. He's got his win window right now. So I think he has to get this championship now to really solidify himself as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever.
That would be a much better Super Bowl than my prediction.
Oh yeah, I would. My Super Bowl is way better than his Super Bowl. I would not want to see 48-10.
48-10. You're like, you turned it off at halftime.
Even though I think last year's Super Bowl was pretty good, I still think it was like only really the fourth quarter was where the action was at.
Yeah,
That's when Mahomes came back. So let us know what do you guys think about our predictions in the comments. Obviously, I'm going to hear probably from some fans about their team not getting as much love, but it's just, it's just what we're predicting. So, that's it. So it's been Next Mic Up. Thank you, my dad, for coming on here, giving his predictions. Obviously, I think he's going to be wrong compared to me, but we'll see at the end of the season. Thanks for tuning in.